Sean Hannity.
All right, the conservative resistance, the conservative underground. It's the Sean Hannity Show, 800-941-SEAN. If you want to be a part of the program, I see we got a couple of libs on the line, and we'll get to them in just a second here. And so glad you could be with us. I can't tell you what it's been like. It got written up in a couple of places that I was one of the, and there were so many important people there. I'm not, frankly, a little bewildered that I was mentioned as one of the people that, yes, did have the honor of going to Rush's wedding this weekend down in Palm Beach. I did not say or state the reason why I was in Palm Beach on Friday, but we were doing the show from the studios of WJNO in West Palm, which is a great affiliate of ours. Brian Mudd and everybody there could not have been nicer to, go and visit the studios and see the show. It was for so many reasons. It was just a really remarkable experience, and Rush is on his honeymoon. I'm going to let him have tell everybody about it when he gets back. But he definitely did give his blessing that it was okay for us to talk about it. I want you to know that first and foremost. And knowing the media and knowing their reaction, it's like Alka-Seltzer and water. If anything has to do with Rush, that they obviously had a lot of secrecy going into the wedding, and really for the benefit of all the different varying guests. And it was probably one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had for so many different levels, and many that you won't even think of. From on the one hand, I just know Rush really well over the years because, you know what, I don't think I'd be in this chair today if I didn't have the opportunity to fill in for him on his radio program. And that gave me some national exposure when I was working locally at our flagship WABC in New York. And obviously, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Roger Ailes hiring me at the Fox News Channel. And two people have been extraordinarily nice and gracious to me and supportive of me in my career. But the first thing that really struck me is, you can see, when you see genuine happiness in people, it just, we talk a lot about the bad things that happen in life. But one of the most basic things that happen on almost a daily basis that we rarely give notice to is kind of like when you see two people that meet and fall in love and they're so clearly and obviously in love. It's sort of like Alicia when she fell in love with Romeo. I mean, as hard as we tried to talk her out of it. But we do like Romeo. We just like to give him a hard time because he certainly is not worthy of Alicia, right, Alicia? And they've been married now, what, 8? You've been married 8 months now? Yeah. And they have not had a fight, for the record. Not one. They haven't even had a cross word, for the record, as we ask her when we do our Man on the Street segment. So, that's the first thing. It really is, it's like the best of times and, on the other hand, the most difficult of times. And it's great to see the best of times. It's great to see people being happy. One of the things that I think that a lot of people don't know about Rush is just how generous he is. And I'm sure he probably wouldn't want me talking about it, but I know, for example, how generous he is with charity. I know, for example, how many people that I know a number of instances where he's helped a lot of people out in his life. I think that the thing that struck me first is when I saw how elaborate the planning was for the wedding and the generosity that was involved. Every decision, it seemed, was made to make people that were coming to this event happy and joyful and comfortable and relaxed and to have a memory and a moment in their life that they would remember forever. And they succeeded in that in every way imaginable. And his wife was as lovely and as kind and as generous as he is. And then it's funny when people call this program. We've had a number of calls about this just in the last couple of months. Hannity, what do you know about real life? You hang out with the elites, and I hear this, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I've never been to a Washington Correspondents' Dinner. I don't hang out with elites. I don't even hardly ever. When I go out to dinner, it's usually with my wife, my kids, and all their tennis friends. And even when I was in West Palm Beach, my kids were playing a tennis tournament for the weekend. Boy, and it was miserable. It was 110 degrees on the court. It was hot down there. But the thing that was really inspiring to me was just you get to meet people that I would never have had an opportunity to meet before. The former Prime Minister, for example, of Canada, Brian Mulroney. And then when I tell you something like, yeah, I watch your show all the time, I'm just sitting there scratching my head and I'm thinking how blessed and how lucky and how fortunate I am because here's a guy that literally, along with Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan and Pope John Paul, changed the world and made the world a better and safer place. And the guy had an amazing sense of humor. Justice Clarence Thomas, another example. His wife, by the way, is on Hannity tonight at 9 Eastern on the Fox News Channel. You know, these are not people that I would get to meet on a daily basis. I've always been a big golf fan, watching Ray Floyd and Tom Watson my whole life, and getting to meet them. Getting to see Karl Rove and Bill Bennett and Matt Drudge and Coulter. And I'm not name dropping here. I'm just saying that those are wonderful people. And then I met somebody that is not famous, that just absolutely took my breath away. It was somebody who was a friend of Rush's wife, a young kid that had brain cancer and became friends with Rush's wife. And I'm talking to him, and he's living this life struggle, and I just was in awe of how strong this kid was. And it made me think that I need to get out more often, because when you hear stories like that, you sit back, it takes your breath away. You see the courage that people face some of the most difficult situations in life, and how they face it with courage and a strength, and it's just pretty amazing. So it was that varying a group of people. Al Michaels, who I'd never met before, obviously Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, and I just think the world of him and his wife, and they're just wonderful people too. Fred Thompson was there, and I got to speak with him and his wife Jerry, and of the Jerry and Fred show. But they're just wonderful people. Now, you know, the thing is that when you know somebody like Rush Limbaugh, who's really the Babe Ruth of your industry, and to be able to be friends with him is just a very special thing. And I know he takes a lot of fire for the entire conservative movement, and he has for many, many years. And in the process, he's literally saved an entire industry in terms of AM radio, almost single-handedly. And whoever's on the radio today in syndication really owes a debt of gratitude to him. And in that sense, there are some real legends in sports. For example, you have, Babe Ruth in baseball, and you have Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus in golf, and you have Rush Limbaugh in talk radio. And he's but it was a pretty amazing thing. And a lot of people there's been a lot of chatter on the blogs about Elton John performing. And that was a big special surprise that Rush and his wife Catherine had put on for everybody. And it was just amazing. And, I've always enjoyed Elton's music, and you just can't deny what a talented, gifted performer, musician that he is. And what I learned about him this weekend is don't believe a thing about what you read about anybody in the newspaper, because he was extraordinarily gracious and kind. He joked about the fact that there were obvious political differences between him and Rush, but he said, look, I'm not here to tear walls down. I'm here to bring people together. And couldn't have been more gracious. And the set that he performed, well over an hour, was just, it just took your breath away in that kind of intimate setting. And it was just a special experience, not something you'd ever experience in your life. And it was once in a lifetime, really, really weekend. And I'm extraordinarily grateful to have been a small little part of it, and to have been invited, and very, very appreciative of it. And when Rush gets back next week, you're going to want to hear his side of this and his take on this. There's definitely a lot of chatter out there about it. Apparently, liberal blogs are upset that Elton John performed at Rush Limbaugh, the right winger's wedding. And I've never understood why liberals don't think they could ever get along with conservatives. I can't tell you how many times people have come on Hannity and said, well, I really thought I'd hate you. You're not the jerk that I thought you'd be. While we may have some political differences, and they're very strong, and I guess it's very polarized right now, we do have a shared humanity that we could kind of relate to. There is a shared experience being an American. We did see a little of that after 9/11 until the Democrats so politicized the war on terror. The idea that our enemies don't care who they kill as long as it's an American, because they're at war with our values, our ideas, the concept of liberty and freedom, and their desire to impose their will on everybody else. Anyway, so it was pretty extraordinary. And I met some really wonderful people. And when you meet people that are so accomplished and from such varying backgrounds, and I just was really inspired by this kid that I met, and then really inspired by others that are at the top of their profession that you get a chance to meet and spend a little bit of time with. I learned a lot. I really did.